Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Down Unders. Another week of finals is done and dusted, and unfortunately, my brother, unable to get the chockies, but you come back in with us to support your boys after another week. How you feeling, bro? How you feeling after that finals game? We'll touch on it a little bit more very shortly, but yeah, how you feeling?
Yeah, a little disappointed, brother, but nonetheless, it's a good building season. I'm a little worried with all the stuff that happened around their club this year, if it's going to get worse over the preseason or if it's going to get better. But Lockie Garvin played all right in attack on the weekend and not so well in defense. And I think they brung him there for attack, and we've seen those sparks. I think going forward, he's a 6. But we'll see what he can come up with in the offseason with us.
100%, bro. We'll definitely get more into some doggies chat very shortly, guys. Shout out to Lockie in the chat very early on. Boys, what's happening? What's happening? I was going to put the
Sami going to the Dragons.
Yeah, your best player there, Lockie. Apparently, yeah, the Titans are doing a lot of shopping, so we'll definitely touch on that as well. Again, guys, yeah, I was going to put up my the comment to pop up on the screen feature, but it wasn't working currently right now, guys, so I won't be able to put your comments up on the stream, but it is a live stream, so make sure you guys jump into the live stream, comment your thoughts and stuff, and we'll definitely get to all your comments out there. Lockie in the chat. Yeah, Philip Sami, the GOAT. We all know that. Toilet Inspector, great to see you there as well, brother. But without further ado, may as well touch on some of the biggest news around the league, bro, then go through the preview of the weekend that was obviously over the weekend. So the first biggest news, bro, Mark Nwangani-Tawase going to rugby union for the World Cup in 2027. So he's going to finish his season with the NRL 2026. Goes to rugby 2027, bro. Your thoughts on this? Obviously, this year, probably, you know, if he was classified as a rookie, probably would have got rookie of the year. You know, top try scorer. So many different things that he's done this year. Just an incredible player. But losing him to rugby, that's a massive, you know, sad day for us, I reckon.
He came, he saw, he conquered, and he's going to leave us. And why not? You know, the world's your oyster. You don't have to be fixated in. When you're that talented, chase that money while you can. Yeah, you know, I wish NRL could get to the point where we could keep our superstars, but there's higher money elsewhere and probably higher honors. I mean, what higher honor than representing the green and gold in a World Cup for Union? You know, it's not the same in league for World Cup meetings and stuff like that. So why not chance your hand back there? And I'm dare say we'll see him back in a Roosters jersey in the future.
Yeah, 100%, bro. I'm just looking at some of the numbers that rugby are willing to chuck away well, not chuck away, but chuck at Nwangani-Tawase. So I'm pretty sure it's $1 million contract, very similar to what they've offered Joseph Suoli'i. So they're doing a lot of business over there, Rugby Australia, to get eyes back onto rugby union. I think this is one of the biggest ones here, being one of the best athletes that we've had in rugby league for a little bit. So it's a crazy. My computer is spazzing out right now, brother. It's going crazy. I'm not sure what's going on.
You know what? It's probably a sneaky little ploy from rugby union. You know, go get famous in league and then bring those eyes back to us. Like, we'll loan them to league, get big, make a name, come back. And it's probably working because, you know, I've probably followed more union than ever just from Suoli'i highlights.
Bro, and he's been absolutely killing it over there. So, and it's good to see the Wallabies actually doing good things again. I remember when I was little, like, you know, trying to watch the World Cups and stuff, getting around it. But obviously being a rugby league fan, not to say I'm not against rugby union at all, but I don't watch enough rugby union to be like, yeah, let's get into it. But well done to Nwangani-Tawase, well deserved for his big contract there. And as you said, representing Australia in the world stage is probably the biggest thing in sports, right? For a guy like him growing up in Australia and that.
It's going to be awesome if he gets into the Australian team this year in league, and then he gets to go back and do that again over there in union. So outstanding achievement if he makes that green and gold jersey for the NRL this year.
100%. Guys, thank you so much for always jumping in as well. Jazzy, good to see you in the chat as always as well. Make sure you chat your heart's content. Get to our top fans in the chat. You guys are absolutely amazing. Next bit of news going around, brother, is Big Tino pledging his allegiance for Australia in the Ashes series. How excited you are for the Ashes series, and how much more excited for the Ashes series are you now that Tino has pledged his alliance to Australia for at least this series?
Yeah, look, it's a big boost for us. You know, Payne Haas is obviously representing elsewhere, so it's going to be great to have Big Tino. You know, we're going to be able to easily fill up that other front row spot now without having to try and find a 1-2 punch. At least somebody will be right there with Tino. So Tino, Paddy, mix in whoever else you need there in the front row, or Isaiah and Locke. we're all sweet. So not that I would have been too worried even if he didn't, but you know, it's just that cherry on top.
100%, bro. 100%. I think that, like, as you said, you know, the Australian front row stocks or the forward stocks were not say they were looking too low, because there's still some quality talent that we have there. You know, if Mitch Barnett was healthy, he definitely would have been there. Ruben Cotters of the world, Paddy Carrigan, stuff like that, right? Lindsay Smith, but losing someone like Payne Haas was a big knock to us, and having another big body like a Tino is definitely a big plus for us going into that series against England. The Ashes series, bro, you getting really excited for that? Do you think that's going to be everything we kind of want it to be? You reckon it's going to open up some eyes to international footy?
I hope so. Let them fight. Let them have the biff without you know, no, honestly, without suspensions. Let them have a biff if they need to. Whack them a fine, you know, but let them have a biff. Get the eyes back on international. Let it be refed a different way.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how it gets adjudicated on over there in England. Like, it's been, you know, shout out to my English fan in the comments as well. Don't hate me for this one, but it's been obviously spoken about a lot. You know, teams going over to England and England getting the little bit of the luck of the draw with the referees over there. So I'm really excited to see how the dynamics are over there. If they can fill out Wembley, I reckon that's the biggest one of the biggest stadiums of the world. So it's going to be a spectacle, and I just can't wait to you know, get up early mornings to watch Australia absolutely tear up England as well. Lockie in the chat as well, reckon AJ gets an England call up? I would probably say so. I've seen a projected team, and it had AJ at 14 because Jack Wellesby and all that still, like, you know, because he's been consistently the fullback for England lately. But where do you have AJ if he's pledged his allegiance for England? Do you reckon he gets a call up?
I reckon if he takes a selfie with just an England flag around his waist, I reckon he's money for sure. What do you reckon, Lockie? The ring on the bloke, he deserves to get whatever he wants.
Well, Lockie's buying into him at centre as well. I saw a couple of games of him loving his centre at the end of the year, and he's bought in as a centre. I'm pretty sure AJ came out and said he doesn't want to play centre anymore anyway. So
he's not a good centre.
He had one good game at the end of the season. Lockie's loving it.
Pretty much, but got a good rig, so put him wherever.
Yeah, sweet. And obviously Tino getting a spot in the Australian side. We will do our predicted Australian side towards the end of the year, guys. Well, coming into the Ashes series, touching on some more international stuff. But at the moment, as it stands, where would you kind of put Tino? Would you put him starting prop? Or are you bringing him in a 13 jersey? Like, what are you feeling? Because Isaiah Yo's there, Paddy Carrigan's there for a 13. Yeah. He's going up front, right?
Paddy and Tino up front, and Isaiah at lock.
Yeah. I definitely would agree. I'm excited to see him go head to head with those English forwards. I reckon Tino is going to go crazy. Do you think?
Bring the fire, brother.
Do you think that he's only doing this though for the Ashes series, and then because World Cup comes in the year after for Samoa, would he pledge to jump over Samoa, or do you reckon he sticks for Australia?
You'll probably see him jump over for World Cup. You know, it's probably bigger this year to stick to Australia, and then next year follow Payne over to. For the World Cup and make the World Cup a little bit more exciting. That'll be great. Give a bunch of other 100%. Guys like Lindsay Smiths and Max Kings a crack at an Aussie jersey.
100%, bro. 100%. And quickly jumping into the chat, Toilet Spectre, Aussies rugby finances must be looking good now. They were struggling financially on and off. I think they honestly just got the checkbook out, bro. I don't know if they have too much in their accounts, but they're just throwing out credit left, right, and centre. Some interest free later on.
Something, otherwise they may as well fold their competition. That's what I believe.
Yeah, 100%. We need to get Australian rugby back on the map. And it also, Toilet Inspector backing up there. Aussie rugby were worried that had Izzy Folau won his case instead of agreeing to settlement, it would have seriously hurt their finances. Probably would have too if you dragged them down that alley.
Definitely.
All right. Before we get into, we're going to touch on a big question, bro, but we may as well touch on the weekend that was, because I think it probably matches up a little bit better when we talk about our discussion a little bit later on. But first of all, first game of the weekend, bro, of the final series, the Sharkies 32-12 over the Canberra Raiders. First of all, my thoughts on the game just quickly. I thought early on in the game, I thought the Raiders really turned up. I thought, like, you know, for a good period of that game, especially in that first half, the Sharkies couldn't get out of their own end. I thought the Raiders really D'd up. They cracked early with Corey Horsburgh. And then towards the end of that half, it just went bang, bang, Sharkies going into halftime, 12-6, and it kind of looked really well for the Sharkies. And the Raiders is just like looking around going, it's kind of happened again a little bit. Like, they've worked so hard to get in position, it all fell apart. What was your thoughts on this game? What's your thoughts on both these squads and probably the Sharkies coming into next week? But did you expect this to happen, or is this another little thing that the Raiders got to watch out for coming to next year?
I kind of thought it might have happened after obviously the war that the Raiders went through the week before, and how much it emotionally would have took out of them and how much it would have took to get up for the game. Whereas Cronulla would have been licking their lips watching that Canberra Broncos game going, yeah, we could roll these guys. We just need to show up. And that's exactly what happened. It kind of seemed like Raiders were a bit tired, a little bit over it. It's been a long season for them, obviously with starting in Vegas. And yeah, just they looked a little bit tired, a little bit frustrated, and definitely missing Ethan Strange. That flare of attack, it was just not really there. And they had plenty of ball in Sharks' good zone, but just couldn't come up with anything.
Yeah. How much of how much do you actually read into it as a couple of different things, right? First of all, how much do you read into Ethan Strange effect in this one? Obviously, him pulling out late due to, illness. Hopefully he's doing okay because it sounded pretty bad. But how much do you kind of feed into that as well? Hudson Young going to more of that 6 jersey early on, and Simison Sangi, who I thought had a really good game on that edge. How much do you read into maybe if Ethan Strange was there, could this have swung in the Raiders' favour a little bit more? Do you reckon it's just pieces didn't fall into place for the Raiders this season? Or do you reckon it was just a little bit more of what happened last game where they kind of fell apart after a really strong start?
It's a bit of both, but I reckon losing Ethan Strange, within the 24-hour cutoff really hurt them, and it really would have hurt their motivation as well. So I definitely think that both had a bit of a part to play, but in such a close game like that, a couple of things could have been better, and all the pressure was on Fogarty, especially early. So I think if Ethan Strange was out there, we would have had a much closer game and potentially Canberra getting over Cronulla. But doesn't matter now. Cronulla's through, and they did what they needed to do to get the job done. And you do feel for Canberra, but they really did have the game won the week before, and they could have been resting this week. So they just need to learn to close out those bigger games, and I'm sure they will as they get more experience next year, hopefully in the finals again. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
And with that, moving on to the Sharkies, bro, like how much are you looking at Sharkies now, going bang, bang into the finals, winning 2 games? It was always the sentiment around the Sharkies the last how many years now where they're making top 4s, but they're not winning finals games. They're getting bounced out early. They've won 2 finals games on the trot now. How much are you leaning into, the Sharkies probably looking like a premiership threat at the moment, or are you still looking at the Sharkies going, yeah, maybe on their day they can shake things up, or they're just having a little bit of a, not to say the luck of the run, but, going up against the Roosters that, however you thought in that part of that game there, whether the Roosters just didn't turn up for that game or the Sharkies turned up, and now with the Raiders game, like the Raiders probably dealing with a little bit of mental issues after their game. Do you feed into that a little bit more with the Sharks, or do you think they're actually a genuine threat?
Oh, I think they're definitely a good side, and that's why we both put them in our top 4 from the start of the year in predictions, but obviously they fell a bit short from that. They can beat teams on their day, but in a game like this coming up against Melbourne, who have had so much finals experience in Melbourne, I don't see them worrying Melbourne the slightest. I think they're going to roll them pretty comfortably. I'll be very surprised if Cronulla can find a way to get up for this one as well. They've been doing a good job, Mulatalo's been bringing that energy and making sure the boys stay high for it, and he's happy to shoot his mouth off. But I dare say that this week we'll see Melbourne just absolutely roll them, just fresher, relaxed in Melbourne, and I just think the pressure will get to Cronulla this week.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely going to be a tough slog for them going over to Melbourne and that, and replicating what they've been kind of dishing out to us the last couple of weeks, because I do think that they're starting to find a little bit more balance to their main positions there. Obviously, Nico Hines, Blake Brayley, and that. I've heard a discussion too. Just quickly, I want to touch on this with you. But how much do you feel into like maybe stripping away Cam McGuinness? And not to say he wasn't a great player or anything like that. Cam McGuinness is a great player. But them changing their game plan just slightly to be more simplistic and having a more dominance between, Trindle and Hines, how much has that had to play in this run at the end of the season? Because I've heard, obviously, arguments that stripping out McGuinness has obviously opened them up to just playing through their halves instead of playing with the link man in between.
Yeah, look, I don't think McGuinness is the problem there. It's probably the way that they tried to play with him there, more so than him as a player. If you sent him out there and just said, just tackle and just have your one-off hit-ups and just still play straight off the deck or off Brayley into the halves, Cronulla would look just as good with or without him there. So I like what they've changed their game plan to now that McGuinness is gone. And even if he comes back, I think they should stay the same, because both Trindle and Hines are both eyes up, run first halves. And if they have that ball straight off the deck, they're so much more dangerous. And there's nothing more dangerous than a Nico Hines sweeping short side. Eyes up footy. So, and if you got Brayley feeding off that as well with quick play the balls, then Sharks can be definitely a dangerous team. But I just think they're going to fall short this year. But hopefully they can take from what they've learnt this year and go a bit harder next year from the get-go and really silence the doubters. But I do think their crowd would play a bit to do with it if they got a better stadium, a bit more fans behind them, a bit more support. You could see them go a long way.
Yeah, 100%. And hopefully that gets done more quicker than what it has been, obviously. You know, for a long period of time now, it's been the Shark Park is still under construction. And when that finishes, I'm not too sure. But shout out to Jose in the chat as well. Thank you so much for coming through, my bro. He's obviously came in with the Sharks. Were very surprising. I think, like, you know, from what they were mid-season, like when we were looking at Sharkies, I was so disappointed in what I kind of expected. As you said, we both had them top 4. I think we both had them top 2, right? Like we had them right up there.
That was second for me. Yep.
They looked dormant for most of the year. They looked like they didn't have connection. They looked imbalanced, especially with their attacking sets. They didn't look like the Sharkies of what they had with Matty Moylan and Hines connection, stuff like that, right? And then have they turned that around for you towards the end of the season to make a look at it as like it's a bit more of a positive season, or do they have to go a little bit further for you to be like, all right, I'll give this a more of a plus mark?
No, it's definitely a positive season for them now, you know, winning the 2 finals games when they were probably written off straight away. So to turn around and do that and come up against who won the comp in first and knock them out, you can't say that that's a fail season now. You know, you're getting to the 3 best teams that everyone probably predicted to be in this spot in the Broncos, Melbourne, Panthers, and you're right there with them. And, you know, you've got a chance to upset Melbourne. And depending how the game goes would be the difference between a season and a B plus season. So if they lose by a lot, it's like, all right, we better drop that down to a B plus. But if they win and hold their own, if they lose but hold their own, we'll go to an A season. If they somehow beat Melbourne, outstanding season, depending on the grand final result, don't matter to me. So, shout out to the Sharks. They're finally building something there, and it's taken a bit of time, as you said, but we're starting to see what they can become. So.
And like just quickly before we jump on to Sharkies too, Adam Fenor-Blake, are you looking at this more of a positive season, a so-so season for him? Like how are you looking at it now towards the end of the season? Like he's not throwing up the same numbers that he had at the Warriors, but he's still having some good impact out there. It's not like his chump numbers either. They're still top end numbers for a front rower. Are you looking at him now as like what you expected of the Sharkies, or are you kind of still going, oh, I expected a little bit more?
I think he's raised the standard of the guys around him, and it's made him do less as opposed to what we see him doing at the start of the season for Cronulla. So that's probably a positive for me is, yes, he started Cronulla and he looked dominant, but you'd still see like him throwing up these numbers, but Cronulla losing. And now we're seeing the other fronties go with him, like your Rudolphs go with him and Kafusi off the bench and Talakai off the bench. I think that's a positive for Cronulla. They really got a good leader there in ads, whether he talks a lot, but through his actions, he's a really good leader and drags the rest of the guys up with him. And
talking about, obviously, and the season's fairly well with the Sharkies. They're obviously going up and up and up. Unfortunately, doggies, against the Penrith Panthers, 46-26. And that halftime was just a domination with the Penrith Panthers. Just quickly, before we touch on both sides and all that, we'll first touch on the Dogs as well. But what was your read on the game in a sense of like, was it in your eyes, the scoreboard at the end of the day end up replicating what the game actually probably played out to be? An absolute, so 46-26. So you expected the Penrith Panthers, like it wasn't what you expected out of your boys without Critter, or were you a little bit more disappointed? Well, obviously we're going to touch on your disappointment with them and that, but like how's your head after that game?
Well, I honestly think we were still in a position to win the game with or without Crichton. You know, we had a good enough squad on paper.
Yeah.
I just think the boys read too much of the media, and I think they did all year. They were too worried about what was being said about them. They were too worried about copping the criticism of chopping and changing, and they couldn't just play footy. And I think that really got to them, even without Crichton out there, all right, we probably would have been maybe a 12-point better side. You know, like we still weren't winning that game. Penrith were absolutely clinical in that first half, 20 from 20 sets or something like that. And we were terrible. We're terrible with the ball. We're terrible discipline. And our one-on-one tackles were absolutely filthy. So I think they read too much media. That's all I think it come down to. And they were reading the media going, yeah, we've got no chance without Crichton. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and also the game a little bit more in depth into the game, brother. Like, who's your, like, because I don't want to go down too much of a negative route. I feel like around the media at the moment, like, not reading into how the Dogs have gone this season. I know towards the end of the season with the Galvin stuff and the way the media kind of went around the Dogs is, I've messaged you personally, and I think it's unfair. I think the Dogs have continued to make upwards trajectories through both seasons that you've had now defensively. You're one of the best teams, if not the best team in the competition defensively, and that. Positively in this game, who stood out to you against that red hot Penrith Panthers squad to look into next year and go, all right, sweet, circle him. He's done really well against the big squad in finals game? Because I feel like that's where I looked at the Dogs this year. It was like last year, it bounced out of the finals early. I wanted to see who stands up in finals games and who takes the next level. And I thought there was a couple of guys out there that took next level, but I wanted to hear it from you first.
Yeah, look, Jacob Kraz kept trying. He didn't have the same effect that he normally has in games, but he definitely kept trying. But Jacob Preston's been our hands-down best player again all season, and he proved that again against Penrith. Maxi King was no slouch, but again, no support. And outside of that, I don't think too many guys really had their best game, I'll say. I won't bag a lot of them, but, you know, after all the talk about get Sexton back in, he didn't do a lot on the weekend. Get Reid back in, didn't do a lot on the weekend. And call that they weren't happy anymore or what the problem is, but they did not perform on the weekend. And it kind of showed where the Dogs are trying to head next year by moving those on. And I can sit here and solely say that even if we left those two playing their positions all year, we weren't winning the comp this year. It wouldn't have made a difference, in my opinion. Yes, we're flying along, but it wouldn't have made a difference. When you come to finals like this, I really don't think it would have. But I could be wrong, and that's all the season's going to be remembered as, though, now is the season that Ciro butchered, even though, as I said, I don't think we would have won. But those three guys for me, you know, Bronson Sherry playing on his opposite side wasn't too bad, but just everybody as defensive collective went away from their game plan on what's worked for us so well. And that's really what let me down.
Yeah, I think for me was the big one that was Jacob Preston. I thought he was hands down among all your side, probably the best player that you had out there over the weekend. Showed his ability against such a top end, Penrith Panthers squad. His line breaks were in such key moments, even when everything was falling apart. He made 41 tackles over the weekend, only missed 2. I thought that he was again, for me, he was hands down probably your best player, throughout the whole contest. So there's a lot of positives there. As you said, Max King, he was doing a great job out there. Bringing Leo Thompson into the squad, does that obviously give you a bit more positivity that you're going to have a guy, hopefully, I believe he's going to fill that mantle of being your second piece or maybe even your main piece, and Max King can kind of play off the back of him. I'm excited to see that with your forward pack. Is that the area you're looking at with the Dogs at the moment to take the next step?
Oh, 100%. I wasn't too sold on the signing, but I'm starting to see that we do need somebody with a little bit of size. We do struggle to eat those meters up when we don't have the fatigue factor in play. And that's when we start to struggle against sides. If we're not drowning them with work ethic, we start to get stuck in our back end. And, we rely heavily on Burton's boot. For me, the Curran, Mann, and Salmon situation with those three guys trying to fit into that same role does not work for me. We need to cull that to at least 2, if not 1 guy, because they're all just going for the same position and, playing 25 minutes each instead of somebody pumping out a good session. But, hey, we'll fix it. I'm sure the boys will go away and work hard in the preseason. And I just hope that it's a positive preseason, get away from the media, come back and just really lock in and focus.
And just lastly, because it has been spoken around, because Phil Gould came out and said that about Mitch Woods coming into next year and whether he'll get debuted at some point next year. He didn't obviously nail down when or whatever. He said that he'll most likely debut next year. Mitch Woods, is he your starting 7 to start next year? Lockie Galvin 6, or you going Lockie Galvin 7 and Birdo 6 to start the year of Vegas?
I think Galvin's not a 7.
No,
it kind of pockets what we brung him there for, which is to create some flair and attack and find some points. And his defense will improve. He'll get to know the system. I'm not too worried there. You know, he'll learn the system and be good for that next year. I really hope he is. But he plays so much better when he's got a genuine 7 and he's just the 6. I don't know what that means for Birdo. I'm guessing he's going to have to play, well, either 6 or in 3. So,
and
yeah, I don't know. I think you give Galvin the first crack in preseason for obvious reasons, and maybe start with Birdo at center, push Sherry to a wing, or push Crichton to fullback. That might be the move. But
that was going to be my follow-up. That was going to be my follow-up. How do you feel about Birdo, Sherry at centers, and Critter playing fullback? Do you feel like there's a bit harsh on Connor Tracy, or do you think that could be an uptick in that area as well?
It might be a bit harsh, but you need a fullback with a bit of flair and X factor. And as good as Connor Tracy is, like he's outstanding and his work ethic's there, but he's a bit like a chance. If you need points, you're probably not going to get it from him. You'll get meters at your back end, you'll get reliability, you'll get a shocker from time to time with the ball and errors. That really does cost your team as well. But it depends how the Bulldogs want to go, I guess. If you add Crichton into the mix and you got Galvin and Mitch Woods that are dominant, sort of like the Penrith Panthers, you don't need a fullback that's going to try and find your points. Your halves are doing that. But then, you know, you got the rumors of Birdo being shopped to the Cowboys and trying to get Ponga as well. I've seen that. We're trying to chase him. I don't know how all that fits. For me, Ponga, Galvin, and Woods would not be a good combination. I think they're all going to be too ball hungry. I think Mitch Woods, Galvin, and Sexton is a good mix. And I think if you move Crichton to fullback, that's a good mix. And for me, Bronson Cherry's got to probably go to a wing because I don't think we should let go of Birdo. I don't think the Bulldogs should let go of the guys that have kind of built the club from the struggle that they were in. And they've let go of Marnie, which is fine. But to then move on from someone like Birdo, I don't think that's the way to go.
Nah. And just lastly too, before we move on again, basically with the 7 jersey, there was also rumors of Sean O'Sullivan on the market and the Dogs shopping to get Sean O'Sullivan in. Is that a move that you would look like as well? You feel like? Do you reckon Sean O'Sullivan could be a guy that could play 7 and unlock Galvin at 6? It'll probably be the same discussion, or would you rather just go Mitchell Woods because he is the future and get him in now?
I think it's more, if Sullivan signs, it's probably more so depth signing, a bit like a Tanner Boyd signing. You know, he's probably not supposed to play NRL, but if he gets some injuries, he'll get there, he'll do a job.
Yep. And quickly on Jose here in the chat with a good question. Shout out to you, brother. How would you rate Montoya's season, Brody? Marcelo Montoya.
Minus his injuries, pretty good. I was a little hesitant bringing Montoya back. I thought he's good at the Warriors, but you know he has some errors and he has some bludgers of games. But I feel like he took to our system really well and he fixed that up a little bit. He fixed up his defensive issues. He didn't have too many handling errors at the Doggies this year, but unfortunately it was just a bit injury riddled. Other than that, I thought he was really solid for us, and we have missed him when he's out. The 1-2 punch with him and Corrales out of the back end is probably our most lethal. When we start to look at, you know, Jeffro, nothing against the kid. He's only young. He's still going to fucking school or TAFE or something. He'll learn. He'll build a bit of size to him once he matures a bit more. Or a Chihuahua. I think Montoya was good. It was a good 1-2 punch with Corrales out of the back end.
Yeah, it's definitely a good one. For me, what I've seen out of him is probably exactly what you said. Like, I think that with Marcelo Montoya as a Warrior, we saw him. There was a lot of like mixed thoughts around Marcelo. I thought he did really well in similar aspects of what he did with the Dogs. I don't think he changed too much in that sort of sense. I think he got better from what he was at first of all when he was at the Dogs, because I remember the early thoughts on Marcelo Montoya. But he did fix up a lot of his issues with us. He still had some inconsistencies that he still had to get out of his game, and I think he even progressed that going to the Dogs as well, being in a system that looked like it had a lot of leadership and ability there too. So big shout out to him. And obviously circumcision is going to take us out of the game for a little bit too, so shout out to Marcelo Montoya.
Poor God, eh?
But anything more you want to touch on there with your Dogs before I chuck up? I'm going to chuck up a poll here, brother, so feel free. Anything more you want to touch up on the Doggies? Because I know a lot of Doggies fans would want to hear from your point of view. How you feeling
No
with the boys
Doggies
at the
fans
moment?
in the chat, my brother. But I just hope the fans stay loyal. You know, don't jump off the bandwagon. Yes, we didn't get the result we wanted, but you know, stick true, stick loyal. I've seen a lot of videos going around about them leaving early and whatnot, but look, at the end of the day, it was still a good season. You know, we're still better than 12 other teams out there. Yeah, they'll be all right. Stick true to the boys, and we should hopefully bounce back.
And just lastly too, what's your rating of the season now towards the end of it? Still obviously an A season for you, obviously from what you built on.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit lower. You know, we didn't finish the back end of the season too well, like even before finals. But yeah, I'll say it's a B plus.
Yeah. Sweet. Moving over to the Penrith Panthers, bro. Clicking back into same old Penrith. Another year of this incredible dynasty that they're putting together. Obviously, we'll get to a little bit later on our thoughts on them going up to the Brisbane Broncos and whether they got the opportunity to go for their 5th title, which is well now looking like it may go that way. But what did you see over them over the weekend from the week prior with the Warriors to you guys? I felt like there was a progression in their uptick in their attack. I think there was one guy that was a big key to that as well that a lot of people probably haven't been talking about as much. But your thoughts overall in their game? Yeah, Mitch Kenny. I thought he was incredible.
Yeah, I agree. Look, unstoppable, brother. I think they'll be a little concerned on how many easy points they leaked there at times, and not shutting the gate. And you know, even with probably 25 to go, I had a feeling there was a little sniff there for us when we started to turn momentum a little bit and put some points on. But again, we just come up with a silly error and go straight back to fall into shit. But yeah, I'd be a little concerned about their defense and how many points they did leak. No, they held off a little bit. They didn't want to risk any injuries, but they didn't rest players or take players off early or anything. So I don't think it was that. I just think that maybe there is still a little bit of defensive issues there that the Broncos probably will expose. But other than that, man, that's a scary team. They know how to play to what's in front of them, and they just know how to capitalize on their opportunity, and they're just relentless. If they smell a weakness, they just keep going for it, and they force you as a defense to adjust. And as soon as you adjust that and put out that fire, they find where the hole is now, like where you're overcompensating.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, they just continue to do it week in, week out. Like when we watch their attack, everyone's been pointing it out over the weekend, like how they click into gear with their system so quickly, scoring 8 tries, against the Doggies defense. So there's been their bread and butter all year, the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. Obviously, if there's any guy defensively that knows how the Penrith Panthers as a system, like to work, is obviously your coach with Cam Serrato, and to put 8 tries through them and big performances with Nathan Cleary and Paul Alamonte, Brian Toto, you know, Isaiah Papali'i's having just this real big season towards the end of the season. Like he's really stepping up in those jerseys as well. The Panthers have never been fully known as the greatest attacking side of all time. It's always been known that they're going to grind it. If you're going to get in the arm wrestle, they're going to get it done. But they are underrated in that sense of when they get it going and their system just flourishes. Like their attack is so hard to stop when they get on a roll.
They'll never force the issue. That's the thing. You know, they don't come up with the most magical tries. They're just such structured tries. They just know their points to get to, and if points come, they come. If they don't, it's a repeat set. They drown you. That's all it is. They won't go away from that. So they don't care if they win by 1. They don't care if they win by 40. It's same points, no matter what we're up to, same points on the field. Get to here. This is a shape. All right, that's the weakness. Get to there. This is a shape. It's regardless. They won't chase points. They won't try and chase cricket scores. You know, you see the Roosters start to put it on, and then they'll just be throwing flick passes, and, you know, they'll really rack up a cricket score. Or they might lose that game because they've shit the bed. Whereas the Panthers, you know that they're just going to grind away, just stick to what they do. It's a work of art what the Penrith Panthers can do. And despite losing all the players that they've lost over the last 4 or 5 years, it's absolutely incredible to say the least.
What I love about the Panthers, they replicate so well of like some of the greatest teams that we've seen of all time. You know, if I look at, I replicate them to Man City in the EPL. You know, Pep Guardiola's Man City, where week in, week out, Pep's teams play just their Pep football, and it's just tiki-taka. You know, they're just systematically just picking apart teams. Their whole possession, they win the ball in such the key parts of the field. You know, they push teams to the opposite end of the field and they just continue to attack over a long period of time. It's honestly, it's playing systematic football, but at such a high level, you can't stop it. It's like you're so good because you just do it all again and again and again, and teams can't stop it. And like, I kind of have, like, I've heard a lot of discussions of how do you beat the Penrith Panthers? Like, do you just got to throw everything at them as, like, you know, throw just crazy attack, you know, left, right, and center? For me, like, my argument against that is, like, that's what Penrith want you to do in a sense, like, because they know if you're going to throw, you know, shape out of your back end to try and get out of your back end there too, you're probably going to cause an error that's probably going to turn it over into field position, which is how their system predicates on anyway. Like, they win the game on the whole systematic part of the game is field position and just dominance there. Like, do you just have to be the better than the Penrith Panthers at that game to beat the Penrith Panthers at that game?
Yeah, we'll put it this way. You need to be absolutely perfect with the ball. You can't have any unnecessary errors, and you got to be perfect discipline, because as soon as you give up the slightest bit of field position, that's them getting the upper hand. And you're going to pay for it, whether it's that set, the next set, or just the field position for the next 10 minutes. They're fine to go 10 minutes with just, we're not scoring points, but slowly edging that arm wrestle and just drowning you. You kind of just need to, be absolutely perfect with discipline, with the ball and with penalties. And then you just need a bit of luck. You need a bit of luck to go your way. You need to have an unforced error from them, or you need to get a crowd penalty. And, you know, the Broncos are probably going to get a fair bit of that luck with the crowd this weekend. But, yeah, look, I think you need to be absolutely perfect to be able to, especially in a finals game.
Let me throw something at you. And this is an interesting thought. This is just coming from, like, soccer sort of analogies and stuff. But so in soccer, it's well known that beating teams like that, like Arsenal replicated what Man City do with Pep Guardiola, and that to beat Arsenal, a lot of teams, what they started doing was parking the bus, as so called in soccer, where they're getting everyone behind the ball defensively and they're just willing to just beat you on the counter attack. What's your envisionment of that in rugby league, and could that end up working against the Penrith Panthers? So when we look at, like, you know, when Nathan and Isaiah Yeo play for the New South Wales Blues and they want to play Panthers football, and the Maroons are just sitting stout on their goal line. They're just defending their goal line with their hearts, and they're just going bang, 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 and they break them in moments. Is that the way you beat the Penrith Panthers? Do you just sit there and just withstand, and beat them on the moments? Is that the way you beat the Penrith Panthers instead of throwing fuck it football?
You kind of have to, yeah. That's where the luck comes into play, that you got to just go set for set. You got to repel, and then the chance that you get a sniff, you need to strike, because you're not going to get too many chances to strike. And that might create a little bit of scoreboard pressure for Isaiah and Cleary, and have to start chasing points. And, you know, we haven't seen them be able to do that too well, other than obviously the grand final against the Broncos, where they went into chase points mode and come up trumps. Other than that, you could probably really just, you're right. You got to strike in the moments. That's all it comes down to. You got to go set for set, be perfect. And when you get a sniff, you better take it, because you know damn well that they probably will.
Because, like, I was just thinking of that too. Is like most teams that beat us as the Warriors and beat the Dogs, I always believe the whole sentiment as a club, like a fan base, is what you hear over the line is our attack was not good enough. Our attack's not good enough. Our attack's not good enough to get over the line. But a lot of it is, I feel like it kind of, why don't you think of it the opposite way? A team's just defending our sets, you know, just back to back to back to play. Like, if they did the similar thing to what they do to us, to Penrith, where they sit back and they defend their ass off and strike on moments, because I feel like that's where a lot of teams beat us at times and beat you guys over the long game. Is that the same system, or what the same formula to beat the Penrith Panthers? You just got to do it at a such higher level.
I think you got to start really well. And I think that's what that's probably what I see more so the struggles for our two teams, is if a team starts well and puts that scoreboard pressure on, we can't get into our system. We can't get into our role, because we're already down 12 points on the scoreboard. So we are chasing, and then it just gets worse. Prime example is Bulldogs, Broncos this year. And we just got blown away. Bulldogs, Roosters was another one in August there. We struggle with that regard. With Penrith, they kind of don't shift away from that. So they just keep going, whether we're up by 6 or down by 12. I don't know. It's you need to be perfect. That's all it comes down to. And you really do just need to strike when you can strike, and you just need a little bit of luck. You need a knock on in the play the ball, or them to not challenge something that you got away with, a legal steal or something like that. Just something. And then you just really need to strike in moments, as you said, and have the momentum that way. And it's very hard to not get that wrestled back off you from Nathan Cleary's kicking game. But you just need to make his kicking game irrelevant by maybe even dropping a winger half back on 3 just to make sure that they're covering that kick for that 40-20, or trying to get to his kicks on the full, because I think that's what Queensland do really well against the Blues as well, is make those not hit the ground, and then straight away you're getting 20, 30 extra meters on a kick return, as opposed to him finding the grass and then Penrith just rolling you the whole set.
Yeah. I think it's a great talking point, because I think we open up just the discussion of, like, I feel like every sort of media outlet that I've heard, when they say the way you beat the Penrith Panthers is honestly playing Hollywood football. And I don't agree with that sentiment, because I feel like that's what the Penrith Panthers game plan revolves around, is pushing you to play Hollywood football so you turn over ball in a bad field position. But if you play Queensland Maroons football, to the sense of, like, you're just willing to withstand and just say, oh, I'm going to sit here and withstand, probably play a little bit more towards the referees as saying, kick the ball into touch, like wrestle in the ruck, like really frustrate them to put them off their game and be a stop-start game, instead of being them rolling into a momentum ball that is going to struggle to stop later on. Just play that, park the bus football in rugby league, just frustrate them, kick the ball out. Like, don't get them into that rhythm of taking the ball out, get into those ruck movements where they're just so good at the end of the day. Play defensive football. Don't play that attacking, trying to open them up, because that's what they want at the end of the day.
100%. And you just really need to tighten up your defense on kick returns. But I think you're bang on, brother. I think you are bang on.
And just quickly, just to finish up on that, guys, there's obviously a major discussion right now. Ivan Cleary, bro, what he's doing right now with the squad, coming this year, gone from last and getting to the point where they are right now, what he's done in the last, close to the last decade here, from the 2020 decade, right? He's just been absolutely dominant. It's obviously brought on the discussion, guys, and make sure, guys, you jump into the chat below. I've just chucked up a poll. Who is the GOAT coach of the NRL era? And this could even filter in a little bit further past the NRL era, because this kind of helps the discussion for a couple other coaches here. But I want to give a couple of stats, bro, and I want to get your thoughts around who could be the greatest coach in your opinion, and I'll give you mine. But first of all, I think the 3 that are in discussion right now in the NRL era is Wayne Bennett, is Craig Bellamy, and obviously Ivan Cleary. And I think Ivan Cleary has definitely got to be up there. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%.
All right. So Wayne Bennett right now, 584 wins in his career, 362 losses at 61%. So over all this period of time, we've calculated probably about 40 years worth of experience that he's been coaching at. He's at a 61% win rate. And that's including this season with the Rabbitohs, where they went dire throughout the season. So he's holding a 61% win rate. That's absolutely incredible.
That's unheard of.
It's unheard of, right? It's just crazy. 7 premierships as well, bro. He went back-to-back with the Broncos twice, with 92, 93, 97, 98. And then he went 2000, 06, and 2010 with the Dragons, which was a lot of people would probably say his best achievement as a coach, is with that Dragons side, getting them a premiership. Daily M Coach of the Year 3 times. He's an International Coach of the Year twice. And he's now Hall of Fame. He's won 5 State of Origins and 1 Tri-Nation, and the biggest State of Origin series, as we all know, the worst Queensland team of all time in 2020. He did that. That is his stats there. Incredible stats altogether. I think that helps a lot of our argument here, because I think we both are on the same page. Craig Bellamy, 420 wins. Shout out to 420. 180 losses at 70%. So he's got the higher percentage win rate. He's been absolutely dominant for the Melbourne Storm. As he said, only one club man there. Obviously, Wayne Bennett and Ivan Cleary done it over a couple of different clubs. 5 premierships, 2 in question, 07, 09, 2012, 17, and 20. Daily M Coach of the Year, 2006, 2007, 2011, 2017, 2019, 2020, 2024. That is crazy. Daily M Coach of the Year all those times. That's mental. And Ivan Cleary, guys, to finish it off here, 273 wins, 199 losses. He's at a 57% win rate, so that is below those, and that's with that period there with the Penrith Panthers as well. So that's big uptick in his area. He's had 4 premierships, as we all know, all in a row, 21, 22, 23, 24 with the Penrith Panthers. Could be 25. If he gets that, that puts him well above this discussion as well. And as we all remember, he did take the New Zealand Warriors to a grand final in 2011, and Dally M Coach of the Year in 2014 and 2020. So he's been with the Warriors, the Penrith Panthers, and the West Tigers as well. So with all those stats out there, brother, and your own eye test of what you've seen of rugby league and that, who's your 1, 2, and 3 out of those 3 coaches for the greatest coach of the NRL era, or possibly all time?
It's very tough because obviously Wayne Bennett's been doing it over 4 decades. He's been doing it 40 years. That is harder to judge because obviously he's going to have a lot more achievements over such a long period of time. And for that, Wayne Bennett for me is still the GOAT right now. He's done it on every level and for such a high period of time. And that's not to say that Ivan Cleary won't take over him. But right now, I kind of can't go past Wayne Bennett just in how much he's done over such a long period of time on every stage over, 4 generations of players probably. 40 years of players.
40 years, crazy.
Not 4 generations, Jesus Christ. No. 40 years of different players back when the game was, on black and white TV probably. And you just can't go past that. Worst Queensland side ever, as you said. He took the Dragons to 1 with a team that he went to there for a while. He's taken on the Dolphins now, and then now back to the Rabbits. So not to say what Ivan Cleary has done probably won't ever be done again in the modern game of winning 4 straight. That is actually a huge achievement, especially with all the players he's lost, the assistant coaches that he's lost. That's unheard of, getting the Warriors to a grand final back a few years ago. But Wayne Bennett, man, I can't go past the so long for how long. But your thoughts? I would be Wayne Bennett, Cleary, then Bellamy.
Yeah, I'm definitely Wayne Bennett number 1 at the moment. And like the discussion, he's loving it. The discussion, I think that, as I said, like he's won back-to-back premierships twice. Like, I know Nathan Ivan's gone the 4-peat, and that's that hasn't been done in the NRL era, hasn't been done in such a long period of time in general anyway. But when we see that Bennett's done it in the 90s, he's done it in the early 2000s, and then he did it in the 2010s. If he's able to get a premiership within the 2020s, that would be absolutely incredible for him in general, of like just looking at him as in each decade, he's won a premiership and he's been at the top of the competition, but he's touched each decade. When you look at the State of Origin series of 2020, he's won that State of Origin series that he shouldn't have won. So each decade he's overachieved in the sense of like what a lot of people probably would, expect for a head coach in rugby league. When you look at Bellamy, over all these long periods of time, he's been with the Melbourne Storm, he's stuck sturdy, he's built that club from the ground up. Bennett's built the Broncos, then walked over to the Rabbits and got the Rabbits to probably their highest finishes in the last couple of years, obviously. He walked straight into the Dragons and did what he did with the Dragons as well. Newcastle is a little bit of a blemish on his resume, how he couldn't figure that out, but Newcastle has struggled within those periods as well. And then to do what he did with the Dolphins, to start them off on the track that they are now, and they're definitely in such a better position than what a lot of people expected with the Dolphins as well. Like, his resume is probably second to none. And then I'll probably look at Ivan and Bellamy, and here's where we get into the discussion here. Bellamy's got the win percentage, but he's done it with Melbourne for a long period of time. Obviously, the 2 premierships that should get stripped off him because of the cheating scandal with the salary cap. Is that the thing that pushes you with Ivan over the top of Craig Bellamy? So I think, is that a bigger discussion here? And I think Bennett's probably the one sitting at top, just probably waiting to see someone do something that no one's done before.
Yeah, I think just the blemishes on the record there of Bellamy with the cheating scandal, and he's always had such superstars players at Melbourne. He's never had to go, I'm not saying he's never had to go through a big culling and losing a lot of players, but he's always had a big 3, a big 4 at any given time, and just Melbourne's always been on top 20 years, and that's a shout out to Bellamy on its own. But yeah, I just think 4 in a row for Cleary at the Panthers, who in their history haven't won too many grand finals as a whole. I think that's an outstanding achievement. And I disagree with the ARW comment here of Panthers could have had Andrew McFadden as head coach and still won their premierships. In 2019, they finished 10th before then running on a 5 straight. And, you know, he come through obviously with the squad that was being built in SG Bulls into New South Wales Cup. And he's converted that. And the players that they've lost over the years, you could probably make a 1-17 that could take a grand final out in the modern game. Just in players that they've lost.
Exactly. And like in a general, like the one thing with the Penrith Panthers too is they've gone. So Ivan's always been at the top of the pinnacle. We've stripped away their assistant coaches, you know, one by one, and even Garner's leaving at the end of this year, and he's still consistently just holding this team up at the top, and he's beating coaches that have coached around him and understand his system, but he's still getting the boys up week in, week out. You can't take away what he did, again, like going back to the Warriors. He had up and down moments with the Warriors. It wasn't as rosy as what Warriors fans probably remember it as, but he was one of our best coaches that we've probably ever had, other than Dan Anderson. Obviously, Webby's in that consideration right now. But taking us to a grand final within that period that we were so rocky and we came off of what we did is a massive tick in his area as well. With the Tigers as well, it was looking fairly good before he left for the Penrith Panthers. So it's not like he's a bum coach. He's a coach that's got him to the highest level. He's done it consistently. And to do 4 in a row, I think with like all the changes that he did have, but there's only been one concurrent, that one's consistent, and that is Ivan Cleary as the head coach of the Penrith Panthers.
Well, they say our team's never won the grand final outside the top 4. What do we say if he wins it this year? What do we say after our team was wooden spooners in round 12, turns around and wins the grand final? What do we say then?
Yeah, 100%. I'm right there with you.
To be continued. But in the chat, we've got 6 votes for Ivan Cleary, and we've got 2 votes for Wayne Bennett and Craig Bellamy. So we've got a lot of people that believe. I don't know if they're just living in the present, but I can't disagree to anybody's decision of the GOAT, because everyone's opinion on what makes up the GOAT is different. It's a LeBron and Jordan situation. For me, just personally, it's just the lifetime of Wayne Bennett is huge. So it's kind of hard to compare right now. Give Ivan Cleary another 20 years, I think he's there. But, you know, Craig Bellamy's had probably not as long as Bennett, but just as long, or not just as long, maybe, half? And I wouldn't say he's there, and I don't think he will get there. But I could be wrong. But it's just that it's hard these days as well to judge, because if you coach NRL, you can't coach Australia, you can't coach New South Wales, whereas Bennett kind of did all that at the same time.
And that's where, like, when we get into discussion, I still, like, as I said before, I think Wayne Bennett for me is the guy that people are chasing. And then I think Craig Bellamy, and that's probably the closer discussion. I think Bellamy was definitely Wayne Bennett's secondary, right? He was definitely under Wayne Bennett. And then Ivan's the one pushing to get into Bellamy's shoes, not so much Wayne Bennett's shoes. I think for Wayne Bennett to do that over a long period of time it's going to be so hard for Ivan to do. He's going to have to do something, as you said, like something incredible like he's doing this year with the Penrith Panthers. And even then, like, I think what helps Bennett is he's done it over such a long period of time, as we said, in many different eras. He's done it with many different teams. He consistently does it. He's done it on the international stage. ARW obviously putting in a chat. He didn't actually coach that Kiwis squad. He was a part of that Kiwis coaching staff in some mysterious way. But shout out to Gordy from the New Zealand Rugby League History Museum. He gave us a really good rundown of what kind of happened behind the scenes there. And yeah, he pretty much coached that New Zealand Kiwi side to the World Cup in 2008. Like, incredible what he's done there. Yeah, it's really hard discussion to have, like, in the sense of, like, you know, what do we actually label as the greatest of all time? But these 3 coaches have been the pinnacle of rugby league. And it's so crazy that we're seeing history being done right in front of us with Ivan Cleary right now.
100%. And any bigger than the three-peat of what's bigger? What Madge has pulled off in the last 3 years if the Broncos take it out? Or what Cleary's done the last 5 years? We're not talking GOATs anymore. We're talking about just what would be the bigger stint.
So we're talking Kiwis to a record win over Australia in Pacific Championships, then taking New South Wales to win a series on Suncorp on home soil, on Queensland home soil. And then if he takes the Broncos to a premiership after the drought they had, that Bennett in his third portion of the Broncos wasn't able to do in that period either. But then you got Ivan, what he's done, bro. 4 in a row is just undoubtable. I got to go Ivan for the time being. Yeah, maybe 5 in a row. Yeah, maybe 5. I'll probably go Ivan still. But that's a great discussion as well. Like Madge's resume, if he gets a win with the Broncos this year, like what does Madge look like there too? Because he's done it international, state, and for the Broncos. And he's done it with the Rabbitohs in the past.
Yeah. And did he win one at Super League as well? Oh, I'm not too sure.
I think he gone over St. Helens in that Super League. I'm not too sure, but what an incredible coaching career.
Nonetheless, I still got to put Cleary above that as well. 4 in a row, potentially 5, making 5 straight grand finals.
My God.
In the modern game is crazy.
And when we talk about it, it just feels, I always still feel like now when I'm looking, I was like, are we just underrating Bellamy and what Bellamy's been doing with the Melbourne Storm for such a period of time, and keeping them within top 4 for pretty much majority of their whole 100%. Existence.
Yeah, he's getting
just crazy,
just a little bit, but I think the cheating scandal obviously puts a little blemish on his record.
Yeah, and obviously incredible 70% win rate. To only lose 180 games within this whole period as a coach is just mental. But I think if he does it because he wasn't able to do it in Origin, and I think that also probably hurts him in the sense like he's done it all for Melbourne and just Melbourne. You know, as I said, Bennett's done it for many different levels of rugby league, and you can just tell whatever Bennett touches turn to gold usually. Pretty much, brother. Pretty much. What a great discussion, guys. Guys, make sure you continue to put your thoughts in the chat below as well, and also hit your vote on the poll. And Brody will probably read it out at the end of the show, Buzz. But what an incredible little talking point. There's a lot of ways you can go about this, and as you said, the Madge discussion is really awesome because in the short period of time, what Madge has been doing is he's building a nice little resume for the future and see what he can turn out to by the end of his career. There's a lot of good coaches in the competition, but there's 100%. 3 big ones right there. It's craziness. To end on it for you and the chat, if Ivan comes home to New Zealand and takes you guys to a premiership, is he the GOAT? He would be, he would definitely be the GOAT. Yeah, 100%. Would it put it in the chat as well? Because I think Webby will probably be the coach to be able to do that for us and stuff like that, right? But if Ivan was to stop coaching, go coach the Kiwis and take the Kiwis to a World Cup, where does that put him then? Oh, again, massively up. Yeah, so I love that sort of sentiment as well. Not just for the Warriors, but for the Kiwis. I reckon it'd be absolutely incredible for the Kiwis if he able to do that. Imagine that if he does that for the Wars, gets them their first premiership, and then takes over I don't know, PNG in their first year or something. Grand final. Perth Bears grand final. Yeah, what if Meninga did? That could be massive as well. So a lot of talking points. A lot of great coaches in the competition and also a lot of players, but we may as well jump into our team of the week for round number 2 of finals. Brother, your fullback of the round, who'd you have? I went with Dylan Edwards, brother. It was slim pickings, but he played solid enough. Yeah, the closer we get to the grand final, the slimmer the pickings are going to be. And obviously in the grand final, it's going to be very slim pickings. It's hard. Yeah, so I followed you in, bro. I think Dylan Edwards probably was the premier fullback over the weekend. Again, there wasn't too many others that held a candle, but yeah, he's definitely the man for the week. 100%. Moving over to wingers, bro. Who is the wingers of the week? Oh, it's the Panthers duo, brother. Yeah, undeniable. Talking about greatest of all time, Brian Toto by the end of his career, greatest winger 100%. Of all time. 100%. Yeah, has to be. Shout out to Paul Alamonte as well, doing amazing things as well. He's had a cracker final series. What a call from Ivan again. Dude's a wrecking ball, man. Just big games, no pressure, meter eater. So solid. So solid. Moving over to the centers, who'd you have? I went with KL Iro and I went with Isaac Tongo. Yeah, I hit the nail on the head. Those are the 2 I had as well. Moving over to halfback, who's your 6 and 7? I just went with halves. So I went with Cleary and Hines. But if you wanted me to traditionally pick on a 6 and a 7, I would go with Hines and I would go with Galvin. Oh, okay. I love it. I didn't have a 6 that I liked, so I went with Hines and Cleary. So I went, again, I didn't think there was a 6 that stood out over the weekend either. I went Braden Trindle and Nathan Cleary.
Yeah.
I thought that Galvin was really good as well. He definitely could have held a candle there. I thought Nathan Cleary was just clinical in all ways. I wanted to get Nico Hines, as you said. I was just kind of strictly limiting myself to a 6 and 7.
Yeah.
So I didn't want a Simi Sasangi discussion all over again. That's what I didn't want.
No, well, I figured for the finals, I was like, oh, we should just do it as halves because, you know, you could be picking somebody that doesn't even deserve to be picked.
Yeah. I'm happy to do that for future as well. I think that's the way to go.
Cool.
Shout out to the Tool Inspector. Toto, the try line smasher. Shout out. We love that. We love that.
Love it.
All right. Front row, bro. Who we got front row?
I went with the AFB and I went with the PAPALI'I.
Nice. I went Isaiah.
PAPALI'I.
Yeah. I followed you in Isaiah PAPALI'I, bro. He's been incredible in the final series. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
And I went Moses Leota. I thought Moses Leota was
motor.
incredible as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
What a beast.
I just loved AFB's first 55, 60-minute stint and really hindering and stopping PAPALI'I, Tarpany, Horsburgh. Not that he did it all himself, but like to really put his hand up and go, yeah, I'll play those first big stint. And obviously Tommy Hazelton going down like he did. I feel like his numbers probably weren't as good, but just the work he got through was enough for me.
Agreed, bro. Agreed. It definitely was a big knock for AFB. I said, like Moses Leota, bro, what he's done in this final series as well. Without Fish, has been a whole discussion, and he's stepping up himself.
100%, brother.
Number 9.
Blake Brayley, brother.
Yeah, again, probably in a similar discussion. Not too many others. I think Mitch Kenny was probably the closest one to it, but Blake Brayley
he was solid enough. But Blake Brayley, another good performance.
Edge back rollers. This could go a couple of different ways, I think, but we'll see.
Yeah, I went with Jacob Preston, and I went with Billy Burns.
Oh, we hit the nail on the head again too. I went Billy Burns and Jacob Preston as well. Shout out to Billy Burns.
Yeah, a crazy performance. You know, beautiful little try, solo try. But yeah, really earned that jersey, and holding somebody like Nicker out of the starting side is crazy.
We holding Presto. We're taking Presto over to England.
Oh, for sure.
Has to be. What a beast.
For sure.
And 13 of the week.
Corey Horsburgh.
The bra. I went Isaiah Yo. I thought just clinical. I thought clinical. I'll give him it. I haven't given him any sort of positional over the year, from memory anyway, because Aaron Clark's been so hot all year. But shout out to Isaiah. I thought he's clinical. But shout out to the Horsburgh. Like, big stage. That try. What was doing there? I don't know, but crazy.
I don't know how we got that, but he'll take it.
What a beast, bro. What a beast. Hit of the week.
I had Hudson Young on Jesse Colquhoun. I can't remember it, but I remember going, oh, fuck, that's a big hit. He's solid, that dude. And
to be honest, I followed you in on that because I couldn't think of anything really over the weekend. I looked at it and went, ooh, like, you know what I mean? That was obviously, the one I was thinking about actually was the Starling on Hazelton, even though whatever happened there knocked out Hazelton, a feel for him there.
Actually, but yeah, that was a big one.
What a collision there. Shout out to, hopefully Thomas Hazelton's all good, but Tom Starling throwing his body at the big man. Crazy.
100%. Well, maybe if we actually watch some women's footy this weekend, we'll add them into the team of week discussions just to make it a bit more of an open field.
100%. I'll probably open it up a lot more. Try of the week.
I went with Teague Wilton. I just thought that was silky. You know, the game was wrapped up and little drop to the foot and followed through and a try. So I like that one.
He's really underrated. I like Teague Wilton quite a bit. He's definitely a very good edge back roller.
100%, brother. What have you got?
I went Isaiah PAPALI'I, and this is off the back of Cleary with the little basketball pass and a Toto to kick back on the inside. Or was it? No. Yeah, it's Toto back in the inside. Isaiah PAPALI'I. I thought that was silky as well. I thought it was just off the back of fuck it shape from the Panthers, and they just did it. Yeah,
you never see that too much from them, so it's exciting when they do stuff like that.
100%. Player of the week. Who's the man?
Brian Toto.
Yeah. I went with Paul Alamonte.
Oh, I went with Toto just because he did it on the defensive edge as well. Just when we thought we were getting it on, getting going, intercept, and just crushed our hearts.
Yeah, he was enormous, bro, and the way he was swimming out there and just controlling two parts, like not a lot of wingers can do that, and especially in a system with the Panthers where the whole overarching system is very similar to ours, where it's just time and pressure, shutting down on the edge, you know, cutting out time and space. But Brian Toto to kind of sit there and kind of wait things out, incredible. I thought Paul Alamonte, bro, like, you know, I think 191 he scored on Supercoach, wasn't it?
Yeah, something crazy in a finals
3
game.
tries.
Insane.
290 meters or something as well, like just mental. I think 11 tackle breaks or something like that.
Something crazy. Broncos got their hands full for sure.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. And egg of the week,
Ashley Klein again.
We'll touch on this a little bit.
Do we have to?
Shout out to Jimmy Graham. I've got this as my egg of the week as well, this whole scenario and that. First of all, I believe it should have been a sin bin. Do you believe it's a sin bin?
100%. How's it not a try scoring opportunity? There's nobody in front of him if he gets that ball. Nobody. Yeah. Yes, Dylan Edwards is right there behind him, but he illegally took him out. Whether you think there was much in it or not, it was enough for a penalty, and it's a try scoring situation. That's a sin bin. That's black and white, the rules. There's no grey space there. That's the rules.
Yep. I when I saw it, I was like, oh, here we go. The Panthers are down. Let's see how they go. And then when it is like just a penalty, I was like, what? And obviously I was listening to Triple M too, because I was on the drive with the missus and I had the phone next to us while watching the game, and I heard the spray straight away from James Graham. I'm like, oh, I wonder if he's going to get in trouble for that. And it's come out that obviously Triple M and that pulled him or whatever from the game and that. Your thoughts around the James Graham situation with this whole thing? And like, quickly, I'll give you my thoughts too, just as you know, because this come from, again, I've listened to you know, Cam Smith cheer on you know, Benny Hunt down the sideline for Queensland to win a series. I kind of enjoy like biased commentary if it's biased in the sense of like, I think bias cheering on and that sort of stuff, I enjoy it in a way, but I also don't like it when, like, you know, it's nonsensical. I believe it was sensical what Jimmy Graham was doing, and it showed a lot of heart and an emotion. I love that in commentary in a sense. So I didn't really take it as a bad thing. I was just thinking, oh, it's just James Graham being James Graham. Obviously, you can kind of allude to who I was talking about with, like, you know, just nonsensical discussions and commentary. I would prefer James Graham than some other people in commentary. So
100%. And he's calling it how it is. You need to say as a referee, I have it as a professional foul. Can you confirm this? Not, send it up there. I'll see what you guys think. That's shit. You are the main referee. You're supposed to be the top referee. Make the call. Say, I have a penalty for a professional, for him grabbing him in a try scoring situation. Sin bin. Don't leave it up to the bunker. And then now it's their fault. They called it, not me. Yeah. That's bullshit. That's just covering your ass so you don't cop the spray off the players.
And so, like, I don't like, when it comes to like biased commentary, I'm like, in a sense of like, if a guy, like, you know, kind of, I discussed it a little bit in my video with the Penrith Panthers last week against the Warriors, and I believe there was there's already just like a thought in the head going into that game that the Panthers are going to dominate the Warriors. So whatever the Panthers were doing, even if the Warriors were doing good things, they were just like, well, this is what the Panthers want. They're always going to turn this around. And it wasn't even a discussion of like, oh, this Warriors side's actually taken to the Panthers for the first 60, 70 minutes of the game and almost having moments to like to get over the top of them. It was just like, oh, Panthers will find a way. They'll find a way. And it was never a discussion of what was sort of happening. That biased commentary, I don't like. But when it's like, you know, emotion where it's like Cam Smith cheering on Benny Hunt in a big moment of the game where those are incredible. Jimmy Graham calling him a git. Like, bro, I was like, give me more of that. That's awesome. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
The refs are so protected of a species, and I get it. They've got a lot of pressure, but you have the technology, you have the backing of the bunker, and you're just making blatantly obviously wrong calls where the rules are black and white and you fuck it up. That's what people expect you to be better on. We understand, like, you know, there might be mistakes or the inconclusive, yada, yada. People live on, move on, whatever. But when it's blatant and you make the wrong call, that's where people get the shits, and you will have James Graham spray you like that. And the emotion should be there. It's a big game. It's a big moment. That could have been the difference of us getting good momentum, putting on a couple of tries with a sin bin and, you know, kicking a penalty goal and then dropping it and Penrith running away with it.
Yeah. And like, 100% right, Fox. Like, they are humans and they do make mistakes, but
100%.
there's also got to be quality at work. And like, a lot of people bash out players on their quality. Like, again, like Reece Walsh, right? We'll put him as an example. Reece Walsh makes 4 errors in a game. He's going to get slated online week in, week out. People saying he's not good enough. And the people don't really understand the game, and that's the sense. They're just going crazy on them because of his errors. With the referees when they do a similar thing, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, if you want perfection out of everything, you perfection out of everything, but there's leniency there. Humans make errors 100%. But when it got all the technology, when it's such a high pressure moment and stuff like that, just like, you got to make the right call sometimes. And sometimes you got to be able to, like, people have got to be able to say, hey, that was a wrong call in that moment.
Yeah, well, exactly right. But the rules are the rules.
Yeah.
It got reviewed, and the rules are the rules, that it's a sin bin if it's a penalty in a try scoring situation. Yeah. There's no, it's just a mistake. It's, I didn't feel like sin binning him. That's what it is. Other, like in the general play, mistakes of a knock on and you call it a strip or vice versa. Like, all right, you live with that. It's a fast paced game. You're on the move. You're making decisions on the move. I'm not even mad about refereeing when it comes to that. It's the blatantly obvious ones like that, where it's reviewed and you just go clearly against the rules.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
Yes, we would love to see forward passes go upstairs. This is what we've been banging on about for 3 weeks now. The one that got us was the Luke Garner forward pass for the Panthers try against the Warriors. It just happens where they should be able to review forward passes that are blatantly obvious in the bunker and overturn them. I don't see why they can't.
And David, latest update from the Bronx Nation right now. What do you got, my bro? Let us know. Obviously, I'm streaming right now. I haven't got the live updates of what's going on, but I'm guessing it's not too many changes going on. But with saying that, we may as well move over to our weekend preview, brother. The Melbourne Storm versus the Cronulla Sharks on Friday night at Amy Park, bro. Coming to this one, Jerome Hughes is back, Ryan Papenhuyzen is back, Sean Bloor is named on the bench as well. That's a major uptick there for the Melbourne Storm. The Penrith the Cronulla Sharks, sorry, not Penrith Panthers, pretty much top to bottom, other than Thomas Hazelton, unfortunately, getting ruled out due to HIA of last week. How are you feeling about this game? Cronulla Sharks, can they do the job over the Melbourne Storm in Melbourne?
I'd be very surprised if they can get this done. I'm going to go with Melbourne. I reckon it'll be a 1-12. I reckon it'll be nice and close finals game as we expect from finals games. But I think we'll see that Melbourne are just in control the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm going to go Melbourne. I'm teetering on the point of where they're going to blow out late, because like Melbourne are quite good at getting in that arm wrestle and like putting on 2 tries late to kind of push you out to a 13+. But I think Melbourne will be too good for the Sharkies here, but not taken away from what the Sharkies done towards the end of the season, how good they've actually played. And obviously, as we kind of said at the start of the show, they'll take a lot of learnings from the season, a lot of positives, and they'll be back better than ever next year.
100%, brother. And if they can keep this one close, it's definitely still a win season for them. I know that they believe they can go the whole way. And you know what? I hope they do. I hope they do shock Melbourne Storm here and we see the Sharkies get up. But I just can't see it. And if I'm a betting man, it's going to be the Storm for me. But I'm hoping for the Sharks.
Yeah, 100%. Next game, we got the Brisbane Broncos versing the Penrith Panthers on Sunday at Suncorp Stadium. We tried to get tickets to this game. Sold out very quickly.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of uproar from a lot of fans on the whole ticket process, on how they tried to sort all that shit out. But nonetheless, that's all right. We'll watch it from the best seat in the house from our lounge room.
100%. And rugby league usually is a sport that is a lot better watching on TV. It's not a lot better. It's great to be there in the action, the atmosphere and that, but it is a better viewing experience in some sort of aspects, at home, watching 100%. It from the couch. But in this one, the Broncos, obviously big updates. You got Adam Reynolds, Benny Hunt in the 6 and 7. Brendan Pierre-Corder is still named there, so that's a big one. Xavier Willison comes back in, and Ezra Mam comes back into the lineup as well, with Tyson Smoothy starting at lock. So we heard that a little bit earlier. I was speaking to Brody about that. With the Penrith Panthers pretty much top to bottom. Lastly, Selwyn Cobbo named in the reserves. Do you reckon there could be a late move there? Jesse Arthur's named in the reserves. Could there be a late move there?
Nah, I think Broncos stick with the back line that they've got.
Okay, so Broncos, Suncorp, no Paddy Carrigan against the Penrith Panthers. The Penrith Panthers that are looking incredible after the performance of the Dogs. How you feeling?
I'm going to go with Penrith. I think they're going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, I think It's tough, man. I think it's going to be a close one. I really do.
100%.
I'm with you. I think Penrith probably eases, like, get over the top of them late. I think it's going to be a very, very good game. I think Paddy Carrigan's going to be a major miss. I really do.
Paddy Carrigan's going to be a major miss, but the Broncos are going to get such a helping hand from the crowd and some penalties. And I guarantee Klein's probably reffing this game.
No, Grant Atkins.
Ooh, has Klein got the Melbourne game?
He might have, yeah. I didn't see.
Hopefully he's got fucking no game, to be honest. But anyway, yeah, look, I think that there's going to be some penalties that go the Broncos' way in this one, and they'll get a bit of the rub of the green. But I still think Penrith will just chip away and come away on top here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a real close one. I think that there is ability for the Broncos to find those moments, as you said, with the Panthers leaking points with Blaze Talungi and that down that edge. I think Tony Staggs is probably a good one to look at for any time try scorer on that one, because I think they'll be trying to pin him up against, Talungi and that on that edge. So I'm very excited to see that. This one is a big game, and this is a big one. Whoever wins this game going up against probably more than likely, as you said, the Melbourne Storm grand final. I'm hoping for something a little bit different, but could it be the Sharks getting a grand final? Who knows, man? It's been such a crazy year. But it's more likely going to end up as a Penrith Panthers versus Melbourne grand final.
Fuck, put $5 on it. Sharks, Broncos grand final, Sharkies to win. See what it's paid.
Would love to see that. Guys, you got any multis in the chat? Make sure you chuck in the chat as well. Make sure you gamble responsibly. Broncos at 225 if you enjoy that value.
The multi from Fox Marshall.
Fox Marshall, Stags, Reese to score a try. That is $4.50. And then for them to win by 12, you'll get $75. I'm guessing that's 1 to 12.
I think he means 12 exactly.
Ooh, big call.
Yeah. Anyway.
And Lockie, Broncos defense has come together at the end of the season, I think.
I wouldn't say that. They leaked a lot of points against Canberra. They played really well against Melbourne at Brisbane, and if they can bring that defensive effort, for sure they'll win this. But they leaked a fair few points in that Canberra game.
And Ashley Klein has...
And then Canberra couldn't even score many points against the Sharks. So I don't know if we can take that for sure.
Ashley Klein does have the Melbourne Storm and Sharks game just quickly there too.
Thanks, brother.
Tans has got Willison, Walsh, Papa... I'm guessing Pappenhausen and Qatar. Bronx anytime. Bronx 1 to 12. That's a big one.
I like it.
And Jose there. Sharks Panthers grand final. All right. I think that's us done with the preview, bro. Any other little multis and stuff that you're kind of going to throw at the wall and see what sticks?
Nah, I got a big one, but I'm going to leave it and we'll jump into some Supercoach.
All right, I'll quickly get it up. Guys, if my computer starts failing out, I do apologize. It's some reason it's glitching out on me, which is very, very annoying. Moving over to Supercoach, the finals, guys. If you got any questions, chuck them down below in the comment section. But the team...
Our little league there's going all right.
It's going not too bad. Actually, we may as well jump in that very, very quickly. League there and the final amateurs. Right now... Your boys sitting at the top of the competition there, the 10-10ers, 1,700, but everyone's so close. Jose there in the second place. Chris, the wooden spoon man, sitting there third. Brody, sitting there fourth. You got to jump Chris O, mate, and tap out with Lockie. Lockie, you still in the chat, brothers?
What's going on?
What's going on here, mate? What's happening?
You're the only one.
Brother.
You're a long way behind everyone, but everyone else is tracking all right.
Yeah, not too bad. You got to beat Chris by the end of this one, right?
100%.
All right, my team coming into this week, guys. I've got Harry Grant in the hooker role. I've got Payne Haas up front. I feel like this is cookie cutter, but it may change coming into the weekend just to feel like who's going to be my point of difference. Ellie Katoa in the edge back row. Nathan Cleary there in the 7 jersey. They've got my captaincies. Cam Munster, Paul Alamonte, Dylan Edwards, and Reece Walsh in my flex.
Yeah.
Your thoughts there, bro? I've got Ellie Katoa as the early game. I could have gone Harry Grant as well. I was looking at Harry Grant for the early game there, vice captaincy for double up. But I'm thinking on Braden Trindle targeted with Ellie Katoa with the Melbourne Storm in this game. So I'm going vice there, and Nathan Cleary being my captain.
I like it, brother. I've gone Harry Grant, the exact same as you. I've gone Payne Haas, the same. I went Ali Katoa, Vice as well. Had the exact same thought process.
Yep.
Cleary, Munster, exact same. Alamonte, Edwards, Walsh. But my captaincy at this stage is on Dylan Edwards.
Ooh, big one. Yeah, getting through the meters in Suncorp Stadium. I'm sure the Broncos will wear him out a little bit. Well, not wear him out, but give him a lot of ball. So he's going to be definitely an uptick there.
I just think there's not going to be a lot of points in this one. I think it's going to be a close-knit contest, and I think we'll not see a massive score out of Cleary because he'll, fail on some try assists and stuff like that. But I could be wrong.
Yeah. If there was any other point of difference players that you're thinking about, who you got at the top of their head? So we've got Payne Haas there. Would you think of AFB?
No.
Stefano.
Yes. Stefano's a sneaky one for me.
Lindsay Smith.
Lindsay Smith is another good one through the middle. Isaiah Yeo.
Yep. So that's for front row. For hooker, Harry Grant, Blake Brayley.
Brayley's a sneaky one for sure. For sure.
I couldn't think of anyone else there in that hooker role. But moving over, number 7, would you go Jerome Hughes?
I'm going to hold those cards close to my chest. But if you're going to go a Hughesy, you're going to need to trade out a Munster, a Katoa, or a Grant. So,
yeah, that's a big call to make. With that 6 jersey, it's not too many 6s to really get into. Got Ezra Mann back, but coming off the bench, I don't really love it for Ezra Mann.
Nah, a Benny Hunt, nah. A Blaze to a Longy, but nah, don't see that.
My computer's glitched out anyway. Wingers, you got Paul Alamonte, Brian Toto, Ronaldo.
Yeah, Ronaldo's a sneaky one for sure. Xavier Coates could
Xavier Coates. Massive. Yep.
So time will tell there.
What we got here? So Fox Marshall, Brayley will play for Queensland one day. I'm pretty sure he's New South Wales there, Fox, my man. Anyway, I've got some inside news for ya. What do you got, Fox, before we go? And lastly, before we go to, brother, what is the overall result for our greatest greatest coach of all time in the NRL era?
What was that, sorry?
Who won our poll for our greatest all-time coach?
Ivan Cleary did.
50% I've got up here, 21% for the Wayne Bennett, and Craig Bellamy at 29%. So by our chat, they've gone Ivan number 1, Craig number 2, Bennett number 3.
Oof.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
But yeah, guys, make sure you continue to jump into that. I'm pretty sure it should stay on after my live stream finishes. So guys, jump in if you're watching this after the fact. Jump into the poll. Give us it down below. And Fox Marshall, Mam is starting on Walter's podcast earlier. Kevy was talking to his son, and Billy accidentally said that is the case.
All right.
Ah.
So what are they going to do there? You reckon Hunt to 9?
I probably would say that, yeah. But that would be Pakes off the bench then.
Yeah, or out the team.
Yeah, true.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Yeah, Hunt the hooker, Fox says. Yeah. Doesn't really change too much for you, does it?
Nah, not really.
No.
If anything, it gives me probably more hope for Penrith because Ezra Mam and D, I don't know.
Yeah. And quickly, bro, before we go, did you want to touch on the UFC card, the Australian card? I know we don't touch too much UFC here, but we do love our UFC. Some big matchups to touch on. You got Tom Nolan, personally someone that I don't know personally, but I've know people that have trained with Tom. Incredible guy coming out of Compton's. Shout out to Tom Nolan going up against Charlie Campbell. I'm definitely tipping our boy Tom Nolan in that matchup. Great kickboxer,
100%.
great on the ground. Should be good there. Justin Tuffer is back in action. We've been fairly disappointed with Justin Tuffer lately, so hopefully he can get the win there and get back on the winning train.
He's got to. Otherwise, it's time to be cut, surely.
Pretty much. Jake Matthews versus Neil Magny. That's a great fight. Neil is obviously, he's known for a great fight. And Jake Matthews, bro. Shout out to Jakey. I've met him live. He's a big bit of gear. So hopefully he gets over the top here in welterweight.
I think he will, brother. I think Jake Matthews, the younger dog here, will take the fight to him for sure.
Is he the underdog in this one?
No, the younger.
Oh, the
If he's
younger. I thought you
underdog,
said
brother, I'd be snapping that up.
eat it up, bro. If he is underdog. Moving over, Jack Jenkins versus Raymond Tavares. What are you feeling?
Jackie boy's back. I think he will get the job done in this one. I haven't heard too much of the other fella.
Yeah, Jackie's just such an elite fighter, like, you know, pace, and he's just going to stay on the front foot.
Leg kicks.
Great Aussie fighter, man. I love to see it there. Jimmy Crute back in action as well versus Urslan. Jimmy Crute, I think, well, he's back on the winning train now. Does he continue it on?
Oh, it's hard with Jimmy. If he stays composed and smart in the fight, he'll win.
Beautiful, beautiful. And lastly, Carlos Olberg versus Dominic Reyes, the big fighter tonight. Carlos, incredible fighter, going up against an experienced veteran guy that's fought out John Jones and stuff with Dominic Reyes that had a little bit of a down spot, but I think he's had a little bit of an uptick lately.
Yeah, he's been upticking for sure lately.
So Carlos Olberg, this will be a big win if he gets over the top.
I think it'll put him into title contention if he gets over the top here. So I'm going to ride with him, but I will say this. The Aussies and the Kiwis never do well in Australia.
They never do. Every Australian card's always gone pretty poor. Tyson Pedro, remember that early Perth card? Pedro, Taito Avasa, all them losing on the card. Suck so much. Whitaker. So hopefully the boys get over the top there too. And also, yeah, quick shout out to New South Wales Cup Grand Final. Shout out to the New Zealand Warriors making it. Hopefully beat the Dragons. They beat us in the semi-final. We had to play Parramatta to go through, and we dominated Parramatta. But this is a very well matched grand final. A lot of Dragons boys that played first grade dropped back, and a lot of our boys have now dropped back to our cup side. So it should be good to see.
I think that'll be a great matchup, brother.
Beautiful, beautiful. And shout out to Fox Marshall for giving us a like and subscribe. Thank you so much, my bro. Thank you so much. And I think that's all. Anything more you want to touch on, bro, before we go?
That's all I've got, brother.
All right, my man. Thank you so much, guys, tuning in again to another episode of Down Unders. Make sure you tune in to next Wednesday. Me and Brody will be back discussing all the finals games over the weekend, discussing about the grand final, and then we'll probably start getting into our internationals in the weeks coming. Also, guys, stick around for tomorrow night. Me, the Warriorholic, and Sammy Hewitt come together, and we give you a full review on the Warriors season, our development system, stuff like that, and what's going on with the New Zealand Warriors. So, guys, make sure you tune into that tomorrow night, 5:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time. So, Queensland type 5:30, and in New Zealand it is 7:30. So, make sure you tune in. And yeah, make sure you like, subscribe. Anything more, Brody?
Nah, other than that, enjoy the last few weeks of footy, boys.
Fucking oath, but fucking oath. All right, guys, take it easy. Up the Wars, up the Dogs. Moving to next year.
Season, but enjoy the footy, boys. We'll see you next week.
Take it easy, guys. Laters.